Katseye doesn't have a brand, which sounds impossible because how does a group that is so successful not have a brand? I want to dive into how Katseye doesn't have a brand, is super successful, but also has the threat of falling off looming over their heads. Let's start from the beginning. Before we get into the beginning though, I've been having an influx of really ridiculous comments. I've been wondering where this is coming from, and then I realized that most of the people commenting this stuff aren't fully watching my videos. My entire point, is made throughout my entire video. So if you watch just a chunk of my video and then you leave me a comment, most likely I talk about that in my video. So before you leave a comment, consider actually watching my video to the end, because a lot of my points I build up at the beginning and then complete at the end of my video. And one more thing before we actually get into it, this video is in no way hate towards Katseye. None of my videos are made with hateful intent. Most of the groups I make videos on are actually groups I stan, and I wouldn't make hate on them if I didn't stan them. But when I make my videos, I try to be as objective and as factual as possible because I'm talking about branding and marketing. This video is not targeted at the girls more so, but at the creative directors behind Katseye. Now, let's get into it. Their debut pop single, Debut, was, in terms of concept, very bright, schoolgirl, and a little bit unserious. To me personally, it felt like it was aimed for a much younger audience. It really reminded me of a 2010s Disney Channel show. Their next single, Touch, is also a little bit unserious, but it follows more of an older teen vibe in comparison to Debut. It follows this realistic teen Y2K natural styling for the music video. And even though they're styled soft and girly at times, they don't do it enough for how soft and girly the song itself sounds. I think a K-pop group in their place would follow a much heavier visual styling, leaning very cutesy for this song, but Katseye is a little bit mild in the music video. Now, I don't mean the music video itself is mild. I mean, I'm not getting any strong vibes of a specific aesthetic from this music video. The concept feels a bit toned down, which isn't really noticeable for a lot of people because how unserious and funny the music video is. After these singles, we get the release of the first full EP. The full first EP. And we realize then that Katseye doesn't really have a distinct brand. This realization is only proven further with the release of their next EP, Beautiful Chaos. Beautiful Chaos does nothing for Katseye's long-term brand. Gnarly was a huge hit. Gabriella was super trendy. Mean Girls went lyric viral. MIA is a fan favorite. And Game Boy follows the perfect 2023-2025 trendy record formula. Katseye is super popular and very successful, but they lack a brand. So what is a brand? A brand is your identity, your unique identity that makes you stand out next to your competitors. It's like a bunch of little things that define you. You can also think of it as your reputation, so what you are known for.
Mademoiselle,
Be our guest. Be our guest.
How has Katseye blown up with no group brand, and will their secret recipe continue working, or are they destined to fail? You know what's not destined to fail? My outfit of the day. Let me show you my outfit of the day. So I have this polka dot scarf, and these are from the new set of gloves that I bought, but they are kind of in the same style as my original ones were. Now, oh my gosh.
Hello?
If we look back to Soft is Strong era, one of the biggest discourses that was going around in the fandom during that time was how little music they had. Katseye had one viral song, one relevant song, and then everything else was practically ignored. Katseye was still popular during this era though. Not as popular as they are now after a few hits, but they were still really popular. They had a really big fan base during this era, and people really loved the girls. But how was Katseye so popular this early in their career, when they didn't even have a brand? Katseye had personal brands. When it comes to Katseye, fans are much more invested in the members' personalities than the actual Katseye name. With their authenticity and their uniqueness, the Katseye girls are a perfect breeding ground for parasocial fans. I want to bring up something that's been really bothering me for a long time. If you look at most other K-pop groups, it's as if their creative directors, like the people like making the group, are purposefully avoiding making the members stand out too much. I don't think stand out is the correct term, but if you look at groups like ITZY, IVE, and so many others, they have these powerhouse members that have it girl potential. But it's like the companies are purposefully not giving them opportunities. Wonyoung of IVE has one of the best K-pop idol brands that was actually accidental. I have a video on that. But Starship isn't taking full advantage of that. She gets a lot of solo commercials, but she hasn't even gotten her own solo single. If companies put in the effort, Yuna of ITZY, Giselle of aespa, and so many other idols could have insane solo careers with awesome personal brands. Now, my game theory is that the entertainment companies don't want the individual idols to be as successful once they if they don't renew contracts and they go solo. The entertainment companies don't want those idols to be super successful. It's like they're purposefully trying to keep their fame group exclusive. Katseye, a global girl group that takes a lot of inspiration from the K-pop industry, doesn't follow this trend. They don't follow as intense speech regulation, they have their own Instagrams where they can express their style, and they act as a much more authentic version of themselves than most K-pop idols ever will. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to be comparing Katseye to the K-pop industry and K-pop groups a lot. First of all, because they take heavy inspo from K-pop, and second of all, most of their fan base consists of K-pop stans. So don't come at me telling me they're a global girl group. I know they're a global girl group. Tongue twister. Katseye are funny, authentic, and relatable. For their K-pop stan fan base, which is a majority, Katseye feels like a breath of fresh air. Oh, that reminds me of a group I used to know. Authentic, real, and fresh they felt. Now you're just somebody that I used to know. But what is really special about Katseye is how each member is her own sub-brand. Each of the Katseye members are their own archetype that appeals to a different audience. Every member has a different style, personality, and talent that attracts different people. On top of this, Katseye has the advantage of diversity. I don't know if you guys were there for the beginning of their career, but one of the things people were constantly complaining about was Katseye's constantly talking about their diversity.
Perform Your Single Touch has 3 million views. That's just on YouTube alone. So what makes your music stick to the fans? What makes it so unique?
I think the most unique thing about all of us and our music is our diversity.
People were complaining that Katseye's only marketing point was that they were diverse. People argued that HYBE only made a diverse girl group to profit from them. Okay, that sounds a little bit stupid. Of course they want to profit off their girl group, but I'm scrolling and I see so many videos of people talking about how they only talk about how they're diverse. They don't have any other marketing point. I think the reason this was such a popular complaint at the time was the lack of a proper brand. I think if they had a really strong brand image and concept, instead of being very mild for the beginning, the focus would end up being shifted, and their constant pushing of how diversity was their whole thing would be subdued. But the emphasis on diversity is actually perfect for two key reasons. First of all, not branding related, but their people. Your ethnicity and your culture affects who you are as a person. Why would they not talk about their ethnicities when it's part of who they are? The second thing is that the emphasis played out well in the long term because them being from different backgrounds helps them with the golden member formula. Token talent. At least 2 members must have a token talent. The next minor point is language. The group must have at least 1 fluent English speaker. The third point is having members from multiple nationalities or members that have lived and studied abroad. The most important part of the golden member recipe is nailing down character archetypes. To build a big fan base, you need to reach as many people as possible and get them attached. To truly connect to as many different people as possible, you need to have as many different members filling as many different character archetypes as possible. The more different the members of a group are, the more they attract different fan bases. If you can attract different types of people, you can get almost the whole market on your side. Not only do these girls have different personalities and styles, styles, but they also have different backgrounds. I mentioned this in my Stray Kids video, but different backgrounds are also really valuable because you attract fans of the same background. Filipino fans will most likely lean towards Sophia as they feel a connection with her. Korean fans call Yoonchae their princess, and Indian fans look up to Lara. And another thing is that they all are gonna look different, which is very important since your visuals are a lot of times the main reason people decide to bias you. Shallow, I know, guilty. But the thing about them being different and why it's so good is because beauty is subjective, especially in America, the place that contains most of Katseye's fans, where uniqueness is actually incredibly attractive. When it comes to beauty, especially personality, and just who you are as a person, nowadays, individuality and authenticity is important. Cookie-cutter celebrities and idols are getting boring and old. Except for K-netizens, because if your arms are even a little bit too long than the norm, they decide the reasonable thing to do is to virtually stone you. If you are an idol and you have arm hair, K-netizens will jinja kill you. The girls fill in archetypes to a higher level than most K-pop idols would. These archetypes are their sub-brands, aka Katseye's brand. The Katseye name is just a cup holder for the brands that the actual girls are. This is where it gets juicy. There's a group that actually did exactly what Katseye is currently doing that we can use to compare and contrast. So, to me, because I wasn't alive when this group was active, but Katseye is the Spice Girls reincarnate. A little bit of background if you don't know about the Spice Girls, but the Spice Girls were the world's most successful girl group in history. I think they still hold that title of most successful girl group. And what they specialized in terms of brand was the personal branding of the girls. They had 5 members and each one was a completely different style. There was Baby Spice, Sporty Spice, Ginger Spice, Posh Spice, and Scary Spice. What was so appealing about the group was that there was a spice for everyone. Fans could find a member that appealed to them and connected with that girl. Their brand, the Spice Girls brand, focused on the members' sub-brands. Katseye follows a very similar formula, but they don't follow a strict and as distinct visual styling as the Spice Girls do. And this is where Katseye starts developing some problems. With Katseye not absolutely dominating the visual brand category, they aren't getting full points in personal branding. The problem with the personal branding tactic when it comes to girl groups, especially a girl group that is very involved in the K-pop space, is that they can struggle with longevity. If Katseye uses individual member brands as their main concept, which is already not a safe option, and they aren't visual brand maxing, Katseye could be really struggling in the future. I'm not a professional, but this is what I would do if I was Katseye's creative director. I would give the members stronger visual brands. I'd make them a mood board and their own vibe and aesthetic. The other thing that I would do that is very important is I would give the group a more cohesive, overarching brand image. Because so far with their releases, it's just been, oh, this soft concept. Okay, this concept. And then that concept. I'd give them almost like a plot. This is a group that's very lore heavy. Katseye doesn't have to be this lore heavy. They don't even need to have lore. If you look at ATs, they have their World Z concept, which is this very intense lore heavy concept. And then they have their World A concept. It's anything that isn't this concept. But it makes sense and it works for them because their excuse to get away with it is that the plot, every other comeback, they switch between worlds. So they have their plot, but when the members want to do something new, they just, oh, we're moving to World A now. Oh, we're going back to World Z. If Katseye had a more cohesive group brand, an overarching storyline, even something like girl power. A common lyric pattern you could see in their songs was them singing about women empowerment. Even something like that would give them more of a cohesive brand image. Right now, there's no overarching theme for the Katseye brand, not including the members, the Katseye brand itself. Some kind of plot. So they're not just doing random stuff, they're kind of following a road. So each comeback makes sense. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will hopefully see you in my next one.
En в бока там же.
Ooh, okay.
See?
Yes.
See?
I see.
Okay.
But what? Ooh, flashbacks. I'm so into NCT recently. It goes steady. With their complicating word.